What is going on, guys? My name is Aaron, and this is the Game Day Hour. Welcome back to another episode. Of course, it is Fantasy Hour and Game Day Picks for Week 4. So, last week was kind of a brutal week of football for me. Outside of Notre Dame winning, Cowboys lost, and I lost fantasy football, so it wasn't very exciting. Even the Niners lost, and that was tough too. So hopefully we're going to have a better football week on our hands. But again, we're going to get into the fantasy football, how last week went, the team I'm rolling with this time, and I have to start making some moves or be a little bit patient because I'm about to get some big players coming in. And then afterwards, we're going to be looking at all the games. It's 15 games. Obviously, we're not doing Thursday Night Football. It's Cowboys and Giants. And if you want to know who I picked, go to YouTube Shorts and get to see that. Anyways, let's get started on this week's fantasy lineup. So as a recap to last week, I got crushed 170 to 112, making my record 1-2. It comes down to a few factors. Number one, Shaheed, Rashad White, Mike Evans combined for 3 points. That does not win you football games. So Stroud got 17. Taylor had 34, which was just downright amazing. Jonathan Taylor is incredible. Amari Cooper got 24. Harrison Butker had 13. And the Chiefs defense, who I just acquired from free agency prior to the week, got 21 points, which was significantly better than Baltimore. So I said I was going to start Purdy. I ended up starting Stroud. That was a mistake at the time, but I mean, it was really hard to pick because Purdy didn't have any weapons going into it, and Ayuk still has not shown up. But Purdy put up 43 points. It wouldn't have mattered. My opponent had 170. Saquon Barkley had 52. Lamar Jackson had 35. Rashee Rice had 27. Only one of his players did not have double-digit scoring, and that was Chris Boswell. Other than that, everybody else did amazing. So it was kind of tough, bad week. But hopefully we can start getting some players back. And now it's time to reveal my lineup. Now, this lineup could change throughout the week. Just realize that I'm recording on a Tuesday. So the lineup I have starting right now may not be the lineup I have going into Sunday. But for right now, here is my projected lineup. So the lineup I have going into this week is CJ Stroud. We're going to start him for the 4th week in a row. Hopefully he starts to blow up. He's gotten me 220 games and a 17. He needs to do better, but I feel like a blow up is on the horizon sooner than later. Jonathan Taylor is obviously going to stay in. Hopefully, A.J. Brown is healthy, because if he is, I'm starting him. Rashid Shaheed, who gave me a goose egg, is going to start this week again because kick returns. The Eagles-Saints game did not allow Shaheed to have really any kick returns, but if he starts getting kick returns, he'll be effective. Amari Cooper just had a 24-point game. I'm starting him. Mike Evans, I'm starting him. Evan McPherson, I'll be starting in the Kansas City Chiefs defense is the lineup I'm going with. Now, obviously, I'm a little nervous because I have not had consistency from any one of these players, so hopefully that we have something good going on. I am playing the commissioner of this league, so I am playing the guy who runs the league. And his lineup going into this week, as far as I can see, is Patrick Mahomes, Kyron Williams, Stephon Diggs, Devonta Smith, James Conner, Drake London, Jake Moody, and the LA Chargers defense. When I look at his lineup, obviously Mahomes is a threat. Kyron Williams, I don't know how big of a threat he's going to be. The Bears defense is pretty good, even though Jonathan Taylor went ham on him. Diggs, maybe. Devonta Smith, again, maybe. James Conner is projected 15, which I can see him getting. Drake London, he's been playing well this year. Moody, but then he has the Chargers defense. So he has the Chargers defense and has Mahomes. If that's the starting line, one of them is going to have to do bad. We'll see how that goes for him, but I'm projected to win 125 to 107, so that is the fantasy situation. Hopefully we can start getting some pieces moving. I mean, we need to get some players healthy, so we're going to hopefully have trades coming through. Nick Chubb should be getting healthy pretty soon, hopefully, so he'll come in. Pacheco, again, he's projected to come back like week 9, week 10, around that time. So hopefully I could just hold out long enough and have a good record and have a dominant lineup going into the future weeks, at least at the halfway point. This is what I got so far. So now let's get into the game day picks. So I somehow did worse last week. I went 7-9. Washington was a surprise to me. I did not think they were going to beat the Bengals, but they did, and it was very impressive. And then, of course, some of these teams, I mean, Saints start off great. lose to the Eagles. That was weird. Vikings are legit. Steelers are legit. The Rams somehow beat the Niners. I don't know. Giants got to win. Go figure. The Panthers get a new quarterback in there, and all of a sudden you're dropping 36. I don't know. And then just to do better with these picks. That puts my record right now at 27 and 21, which is not stellar. We got to do better. So let's start it off this week. First game we're looking at this week is the 2-1 New Orleans Saints versus the 1-2 Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, a heated rivalry. So this game is going to be close. It's going to be very, very emotional. The Saints were so disappointing. I had them as the worst team last week. I should have given it to the Cowboys, but the Cowboys almost ended up winning, so I didn't give it to them. The Saints, on the other hand, I mean, how do you go from dropping double 40-point plus games to all of a sudden you put up 12 and your offense looked awful? I mean, it was terrible. As for the Falcons, I mean, you lost a close game to Kansas City. Your record is 1-2, but I like how this team looks for the most part. I mean, they still have some things they need to work out, but this team's trending in the right direction. When I look at this game, I want to pick New Orleans because of the first two games. But the way they lost last week almost feels like that they had to come back to earth. So I'm going to actually take the Falcons. This is probably an upset pick, but I'm going to go with Atlanta 23-20. It's at home. Kirk Cousins has been doing great. The defense looks like it's getting a lot better. And if the Saints put up that kind of offensive performance again they did against the Eagles, which was just kind of embarrassing, you got to go with the Falcons in this one. Next up, we have a pair of 1-2 matchups between the Rams and the Bears. So LA finally got their first win, despite the fact that Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua were no-shows because of injury. And the Bears, on the other hand, I mean, they looked impressive against Indianapolis, but still lost. They still need to work out a lot of things. Caleb Williams needs to get better. I mean, he threw his first touchdown in week 3, so I kind of tell you he's not doing too great. The defense, on the other hand, is doing a lot better, of course. As for the Rams, I mean, looking back, if they can get some pieces, I don't even know who's healthy going into this. I'm pretty sure Cooper Kupp could be. I don't know about Puka. I'm going to go with another upset pick, and I'm going to be taking the Bears to win 21-20. And that's because the Bears defense has looked great, and LA has had a game where they lost close to Detroit and got blown out by Arizona. So if Chicago's defense can get going and Caleb Williams can make a few plays here and there, I think they can win. I just don't think there's enough firepower for LA to. I don't even know how they won that last matchup against San Francisco. That was just a miracle. So I'm going to go with the Bears. Next up, a big-time matchup. 3-0 Minnesota versus 2-1 Green Bay. Now, is this the game that Jordan Love comes back, or is he still going to be missing? Either way, this is going to be a very competitive game. I mean, Minnesota's defense has looked great. Sam Darnold has been a great quarterback so far, which is weird to say. Malik Willis has also played very well, as he's 2-0 with Green Bay right now. It's one of those matchups that, one, it's in Lambeau Field, so I want to lean Green Bay, but because of Minnesota, because of what they've done, I did not expect them to beat San Francisco or Houston, and they did some work on them. So I'm going to go with the Vikings to win 31-27. I just think that when you look at how close this matchup is, the difference comes down to the offense. And while I think Green Bay has a pretty impressive offense, Minnesota, despite having Sam Darnold's been playing great. They have so many more weapons, and this could be an Aaron Jones revenge game, so I'm going to go with the Vikings. Next up, we have the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers at 3-0 versus the 1-2 Indianapolis Colts. The Colts finally got their first win against Chicago, and Jonathan Taylor, that was vintage. He played amazing. Anthony Richardson, on the other hand, I'm not sure. But Pittsburgh, Justin Fields, I'm pretty sure is going to be the long-term quarterback going forward, and then their defense is probably the best in the league. They have allowed the fewest amount of points, like, 8.6 points per game? That's incredibly great. I mean, I have Jonathan Taylor playing, so I'm a little worried. I just need a touchdown here and there. I don't think he's going to get a lot of yards. I'm just pretty sure that the Pittsburgh Steelers are more dominant on defense. And because of that, I have Pittsburgh in a slightly low-scoring game. See, their offense isn't playing that impressive, but the defense has been great. I think Indy's offense is a little better. 21-16 is the score I have. Pittsburgh staying undefeated, and Justin Fields, he's having a lot better start to a season than he's ever had in Chicago. So I have to give the benefit of the doubt. Pittsburgh looks like they're going to do a lot better. Give me the Steelers. Next up, we have the 1-2 Broncos going to the Meadowlands to play the New York Jets, who are 2-1. It's night and day with New York having Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, and the defense has started to pick up its stride just a little bit. The offense looks so much better. I mean, so much better. The Jets should be a lot happier. As for Denver, what a surprise. I completely thought Tampa was going to win, but they blew Tampa out. That blew my mind. I don't know how they did it, but they did. When I look at this matchup, do they do it a second time? Do they play spoiler a second time to a team who I expect to win? I don't think so. I think that the Jets are so powerful with Aaron Rodgers. I have them winning 34-19. I mean, it's really hard for me to pick against the Jets right now. Aaron Rodgers has his team working very well. Is he playing great? That's debatable. But it's significantly better than anything they've had in the past. So give me the Jets. I don't care how great Denver looked against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay sometimes has that game where they fluke. So the Jets with Aaron Rodgers, I don't think it's going to happen. Give me New York. Next up, we have a pair of 2-1 teams, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The last time these two teams met was in the playoffs, and the Buccaneers absolutely went to town on Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia is a lot different. Got Saquon Barkley and a pair of new coordinators, both on offense and defense. So Philadelphia, a lot different. Defense should be a lot better. But Tampa Bay, despite having that bad game against Denver, I don't think they're going to have it a second time. When I look at this matchup, I just think that Philadelphia is going to get exposed in many areas. It's going to be a close game. I think Saquon Barkley is going to do what Saquon Barkley does. But give me the Buccaneers to win 26-24 at home. I think that the Buccaneers offense is really, really good and underestimated. And I think the Eagles still have a little bit they have to work on defense. But other than that, give me the Bucs. Next up, we have the 0-3 Cincinnati Bengals and the 1-2 Carolina Panthers. Cincinnati makes me mad. I mean, how in the world do you have this much firepower on offense and potentially a really, really good defense that talks a lot, and you cannot inch out a single win? You've played New England, you've played Washington. I understand Kansas City, that one's different. But they should theoretically be 2-1 with the competition they played, and they're 0-3. It's just embarrassing how they start off the year. As for the Panthers, you look like the worst team in football for the first 2 weeks. Then you make a move to go to Andy Dalton, and all of a sudden you drop 36 points against the Las Vegas Raiders. And I had them as the best team last week because, wow, it was night and day. It looked a lot better. It's really tough for me to want to pick Cincinnati because by principle, I should pick the Bengals. But come on. They got to do better than this. And you can blame it on a lot of factors. I think they talk too much. I think that they sit out of training camp. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins is injured. So it's just very, very annoying how each and every offseason we look at the Bengals as Super Bowl contenders and they start the year off really, really bad. If they just got off to strong starts, they could not only win the division, potentially win the conference. And they could have the AFC roll through them, but they start off slow, so we know it's not going through them. I'm going to take the Bengals by principle. At some point, Joe Burrow has to shake off the rust and win. I mean, they played good last week. They've got to play a lot better. And I think they'll win 24-21 because I think there's still a lot of glaring problems with Carolina, but it's going to be a lot closer than I imagined, which is bad. Cincinnati, do better. Next up, we have the 0-3 Jacksonville Jaguars and the 2-1 Houston Texans. Both took brutal losses, Houston to Minnesota and Jacksonville to Buffalo. I don't know what's going on with the Jaguars. I mean, I thought they did pretty good in the offseason and had a pretty good team going into the year, but man, they've not looked good at all. I mean, you almost beat Miami, and now Miami is not going to look so good after a while, or for a while, I guess. And then for Houston, though, to get blown out the way they got blown out was kind of bad. It was pretty embarrassing. They have such a high-powered offense, though, I can't ignore that. Eventually, it's going to start clicking on all cylinders. I just think that they're still trying to work out a few things, but they ought to click at some point. And with Jacksonville's slump right now, I have the Texans winning 27-21. I don't know what's going on with the Jaguars. They need to figure something out because this is not working. I'm going to go with the Texans 27-21, though it is one of those rivalry games, so I don't know. I'm going to go with Houston. Chagrin. Next up, we have the Washington Commanders at 2-1 and the Arizona Cardinals at 1-2. You know, even as a Cowboys fan, I don't hate Washington. I just kind of don't have an opinion about them anymore. I used to a long time ago. Nowadays, I'm just kind of met with them. But when I look at the Commanders right now, Jaden Daniels looks like the rookie of the year. He looks like that kind of quarterback that's going to take the award, potentially even giving Washington a fighting chance at winning the NFC East. And as for Arizona, I mean, they still have some bright spots. You lost to a good Detroit team. I still think that they are trending in the right direction for the most part. But what I saw from Washington against Cincinnati, the way they clicked on offense, Jaden Daniels has been doing amazing with that offense. I'm going to go with the Commanders to win 34-27. I just think that there's a new life in Washington. And while I don't see it on the defensive side, I definitely see it on the offensive side. And that's a beautiful thing to behold. Next up, we have the New England Patriots at 1-2 versus the 49ers at 1-2. I would have never suspected San Francisco to start off this poorly, but they do. I think they're going to get better, though. I think San Francisco is still a tough team to beat and still the team to beat. As for New England, I mean, you had to start to week one that was just straight up amazing. But then after that, it hasn't looked too great. You got blown out by the Jets just recently. So I'm really confused about this matchup because I want to pick the 49ers outright, but they got to get healthy. I think they are going to get healthy. I think probably going to get Kittle back, maybe even Debo back. I'm going to take the 49ers because they are at home. They still have the better offense. I mean, the Patriots offense looked bad last week. I'm going to go with the Niners 28-17. But again, okay, what is it with these teams? Like the teams that you want to cheer for, that you want to say are doing really, really good, are not. Even the Chiefs, who are undefeated, look shaky at some places. There's no consistency right now in the NFL, and that's kind of concerning. I'm going to take the Niners, but there's just no consistency right now. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns and the Las Vegas Raiders, both at 1-2. The Raiders, I mean, I don't know how you lose that game against Carolina. I guess Andy Dalton is just right for Carolina overall. But I don't know how you lose that game. But the coach definitely made it very obvious that they shouldn't have lost that game. So maybe we're going to see a different team. As for the Browns, I think you need to make the change soon. I don't know if Watson's the guy. I don't know who the backup is. I think that you guys need to go with a different quarterback. You spent all that money on him, and it wasn't the right plan. I'm going to go with the Raiders to win 24-16. I mean, the Browns look like one of the worst teams in football. So I'm going to have to go with the Raiders. Next up, we have the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs versus the 2-1 Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers have looked really good. I mean, they had that loss against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh might be a lot better than we realize, and they have a firm lead of the AFC North right now as we speak. The Kansas City Chiefs are 3-0. But even they have said they have not looked that great. Travis Kelce has kind of been a no-show so far. Mahomes has not played amazing, but they are still winning. Their defense is really, really good. When I look at the Chargers, there's new life with Jim Harbaugh there, but it's still Andy Reid, it's still Mahomes, it's still Kelce, Rashee Rice, it's still all of them. I know you don't have Pacheco, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs to win 24-20, another close game. A lot of questions still linger for Kansas City even after this game, but go with the Chiefs. Then we got Sunday Night Football between the undefeated Bills and the 1-2 Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens finally got their first win at Dallas, but almost choked a 22-point lead. They barely won. They only won by 3. That was a terrible sign because look who's coming up on their schedule, especially now. The Bills, you can argue, are the best team in football, and I won't argue with you. Josh Allen has that team moving great. Right now, he's my MVP. He's just amazing. He's with Arizona, it was a close game, but still high scoring. You blew out Miami. You blew out Jacksonville. And now you have a Ravens team which lost to Kansas City opening week, lost to the Raiders after choking a lead, and almost choked a lead to the Cowboys. This is easy. Give me the Bills by a lot, 38-21. I think there's so many problems with Baltimore that are just slowly being addressed, not enough to beat Buffalo. Next up, we have the 0-3 Titans and the 1-2 Dolphins. Both teams have looked awful, but this one's simple. I'm not even going to waste your time. I'm going with the Titans. I know the Titans have the lesser record, but no Tua, no way. The Titans, I have them winning 24-13. I mean, there is some bright spots with Tennessee if they just haven't been able to capitalize on anything just yet. The Dolphins got blown out by Seattle because they don't have their quarterback. And without your starting quarterback, or as great as a quarterback as Tua is, it's going to be tough. I don't think Skyler's the answer. I don't think he's going to get them many wins at all. So I'm going to go with the Titans to win, despite this being in Miami. And then lastly, we have the undefeated Seahawks and the 2-1 Lions. This is the better of the two Monday Night Football games. This is a fun matchup because Seattle right now has a firm grip of the NFC West because every team is 1-2 right now and they're 3-0. So it's good for them that they're sitting up there. Their offense looks great. Detroit, they finally got back to their winning ways. They're 2-1. They just beat Arizona. This is going to be a high-scoring, close game as it has been in Detroit when Seattle has come to visit. This is going to be very fun. I'm actually going to take the Seahawks to win in Detroit 34-31. And the reason is their offense is working very well, and it looks like their defense is also doing pretty well. You can't really say much after that last win, though, because they did play a backup quarterback Miami team. But still, give me the Seahawks 34-31. Detroit's going to play hard, but I think there's some problems with Detroit that need to be addressed because they should, honestly. Give me Seattle. And that'll do it for this week's picks. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and if you do, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Hopefully we can start getting more shorts rolling, or at least like get them more scheduled and all that. I'm happy with how this video is coming out. Obviously, we're switching up the camera angle to come a little more downwards and getting things all situated. Don't forget to interact with me on YouTube Shorts. I'd like to interact with people there based on like college football and NFL action. So if you want to chat with me, just chat with me there, and all my social medias, obviously, which will be in the description below. Anyways, that'll do it for me. I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.